Hi, this is Michael from Lyric Hi-Fi in Belfast, and today I'm going to talk to you about the Hifi LS50 Meta, which is the speaker right here. And I've got a bit of a story about the history of these, because the original LS50 came up and was launched about maybe 8-9 years ago, and that was to celebrate Hifi being in business for 50 years. And so the owners of Hifi spoke to the engineers and said, we're going to do something that's special, a limited edition to celebrate these 50 years. And there are no rules. You can make whatever you want, but we're thinking about, a product that'll be a limited edition and maybe talk about our heritage. So the heritage of Hifi means that the designation LS was for their professional loudspeakers. So there were LS35As were something they made parts for, LS7s, and these were mostly designed by their illustrious founder, a guy called Raymond Cook. So the engineers, who are smart people, decided to do something completely different. Now, this treble unit in the middle of the mid-range unit they'd been doing for many years, but they decided to do another version of that, and they made a cabinet that they wanted to be curved so that you get a really broad, wide dispersion, because this also gives you a broad, wide dispersion from having a coincident source from the treble unit in the middle of the mid-range unit. They also wanted it to have no sharp edges, so that you get diffraction patterns at the edges. That meant you couldn't have a grill. And so, in terms of the marketing people, they would go, well, you can't sell anything, can't have a grill, that would be mad. People want to cover this up. So the original one they did was available in black and gold. They did a few different colour versions. But with virtually no changes, that has run for the past 8 years. Now, when that was launched, about May or June time, they had a big product launch. Hifi is made in Maidstone in Kent, and I was invited across to the launch, and they had all the journalists from around the world there, and they had dealers from the UK, and we sat about and had lovely wine and a lovely meal, and we played these speakers, and everybody thought they were absolutely brilliant and groundbreaking. And so they said, we're going to have a limited edition of just 500 pairs. Right, Michael, how many do you want to buy? And I thought, £800, quite a lot for a little speaker, but they sound brilliant. Tell you what, give me half a dozen pairs, because, in 6 months' time, it'll all be forgotten about. So that was fine. And what then happened was the production run was delayed and nothing turned up until about October. The significance of that is that the journalists who were there in May and June had the reviews that came out all around the world. All around the world. From Japan to America, South America, France, Germany. Every magazine said these were one of the best things they'd ever heard at the price. So the entire production run of 500 was sold out before they'd actually delivered a single pair. So what they did was they just forgot about it being a limited edition of 500 pairs, and 8 years later they've made something like 34,000 pairs of the original speaker, which is an amazing amount for a speaker that marketing people would tell you would be impossible to sell. So how do you actually improve on something like this? Well, it's taken quite a while, but this is now called an LS50 Meta, and the Meta terminology is because the Hifi engineers have been working with an American company that specializes in meta technology. So I'm sure you're asking what the hell is meta technology? Because I had no idea. A meta material is something that doesn't occur in nature but is entirely manufactured for a specific purpose. And in behind the treble unit of these is a little disc about this size with a pattern on it. And that pattern on it works at different frequencies to absorb the back output of the treble unit, because when a unit moves forward and goes back, it produces a back signal into the speaker, which is why I have lots of damping and stuff inside a speaker to try and get rid of this. But this actually completely cleans up what goes on behind it, so that all you hear is what's going forward from the drive unit. At the same time, they redesigned, whenever they did that, they found out that part of this waveguide was actually causing little resonances as well. So it had to be redesigned. And so that meant that actually they could work on the bass unit. So parts of it were redesigned. And all in all, this entire speaker has moved not only from £800 to £1,000, but has moved the entire technical game forward. And this meta technology, which is in this speaker, will be applied to other speakers in the KEF range, and we'll see it coming up again and again, because this is actually a scientific breakthrough. Following on from the LS50, KEF made a model called LS50 Wireless, which is this thing. These parts are the same, but it's deeper, and that's because it has amplifiers built in. Whenever they refer to wireless, it means that the signal goes into them wirelessly, whether that's from your phone or from a server controlled by an app on your phone. But they have to be plugged into the mains to run the amplifier, so it's not wireless completely. It's the wireless of the signal going into them. You can physically plug things into them as well. But these are a very, very clever little box, because a lot of what's called wireless speakers are frankly quite basic. But these are what's called an active speaker. So plug the mains into them, plug in a turntable, whatever you want, plug in a TV, and then wirelessly stream your music onto it from maybe a high quality source like Tidal or Qobuz, although you can also use Spotify or Apple Music or any of them. But whenever I regard this as an active speaker, this means that in every speaker you have to split up the signal between what you feed to the treble unit and what you feed to the bass unit. But what happens in this case is that split, that crossover, is done in the digital domain. And that means that you can get a very precise split, and you can also do a little bit of tailoring about what's going on with the drive unit to make it even better, to get the most out of it. And so whenever you do that, the problem is that you've now got two different channels in this speaker and two in the other speaker. So you need a digital to analog converter for each drive unit, and you need an amplifier for each drive unit. So you multiply up the cost. So while the passive ones are £1,000 a pair, these ones are £2,250 a pair. With either of them as well, if you want to get the best out of them, you need to have them at the right height, and it's nice to have them rigid. So KEF have also come up with a new pair of stands that these bolt into. These are not the KEF stands. The KEF stands will arrive hopefully next week and will be about £400 a pair. So this is a premium high performance product. But for something like this, these two speakers are your entire hi-fi system. No amplifiers, nothing else. This can be everything that you need for your entire system. So in store, we're ready to demonstrate LS50 Wireless 2, as it's called. We're ready to demonstrate the LS50 Meta, and we're very happy to do that. What we're a wee bit behind of is we can't get enough of them. They've launched these, and the demand, like the original one, has been huge. But come in and have a listen and you won't be disappointed. Now, while I'm just finishing off, I'd like to encourage you to hit the subscribe button underneath. That doesn't cost you anything, but we just like to see how many people are watching and to have a connection. So whenever you log in, you'll find out that we've done a new video. So if you like it, hit the like, hit subscribe. And the other thing is, we're going to do a little competition just now. So the whole way I've been talking, I've been wearing this fantastic t-shirt that I bought a while back. When the first 3 people that answer onto the YouTube site with what it is and what it's about, and I don't want a one-word answer, I want a little bit about that. First 3 people will get a fantastic vinyl record recorded and produced by Roy Gandy of Riga on 180 gram virgin vinyl worth £20.